Hello everyone once again and welcome back to PAX and Recreation. And today, although we're kind of late for this discussion, we're going to discuss if it's worth it to buy the Commander decks from Commander Masters. Now, there's a good side to this and a bad side to this. And with this, the fact that I'm being late for this discussion because this was delayed. Now, the good side is that one of my friends actually got the 4 decks, so we actually play with them a lot. So the review is still based on gameplay. Now, in terms of pricing, this may actually be good as well, because these all started as very expensive decks, and now they're not that expensive actually. They're kind of getting cheaper as we speak. Now, these were all premium Commander decks that, since they are from a Commander Master set, they had a MSRP or a minimum recommended price of $80, $80, 80 euros, whatever. Now, yes, Wizard doesn't give a recommended price or a MSRP or whatever, but every store just put them at $80 minimum, right? So there is that. Now, what happened is that if these are premium Commander decks and you see the themes of them, there are 2 themes here that everyone was to get crazy about, and those 2 are Eldrazi Unbound and Sliver Swarm. Actually, when I made my pre-order long time ago, I was very excited about this one and this one because of the theme of them. So a Commander deck that's entirely colorless and is not based on artifacts, and the Commander wouldn't be cozy deck, that's good. So I was excited about that one. And Planeswalkers in a Commander deck, no, that's a thing, because normally you have like 1 maybe, and it's not very useful and they get killed very fast and all that, but an entire deck based on Commanders, on Planeswalkers, now what can that be, right? So I was very excited about these 2. Now the others I was kind of more bored about, because like Slivers in 5 colors is like normal, to be honest, and even though it's kind of an old archetype, so it doesn't get like that much support, and they're very expensive. And the other was just enchantments. So in my opinion, in terms of excitement, the excitement was something like this, right? Like, I was very excited about this, kind of about this, not too much about this, and not at all with this. So, and in terms of pricing and rarity of cards, the market actually proved me wrong. So basically did the expectable thing, right? So these 2 are the most expensive ones. Shifting depending on the store and the seller, because some people consider the Sliver one better than the Eldrazi one, but as of the timing of recording this video, something very crazy happened. These were all supposed to be $80 each, so since these 2 no one was excited about, these remained as $80 more or less, which is still very expensive for these decks, because these decks are nowhere that good. And these 2 actually went up very much. So one of them, I think it was, this one was like $100, and this one was like, or 110, and this was like 120, 130, depending on your local game store or the seller or something. And in some stores, I actually saw them swapped. Like this one was 130 or 140, and this one was 110 or something. Long story short, no one cares about these ones. So we're going to open all of them, talk about them as I play with them, and see, a little bit if it's worth it. Now, at the timing of recording this video, something very good happened, which is people realize that these are not very worth it. So you can actually get these 2 right now for, I think like 40 something bucks, almost 50, which is still very expensive for a Commander deck, but hey, at least it's not 80. And this one for 80, which is the MSRP, and this one is still like $100 or 110 or 105 because Eldrazi. So I don't know. Let's go by the order of market value, I guess. From most expensive to least expensive. Let's do it the anti-logical way, because I actually want to talk about the ones that I wasn't expecting anything and I actually got something out of them. So let's start with Eldrazi Unbound. Now, the Commander Zulodok Void Gorger and the co-commander, which is Omarthis, push this Commander deck that is basically all about Eldrazi and, well, just Eldrazi being Eldrazi, right? So with the Eldrazi, there is this... Okay, so thank you. I didn't even have to put any work on this, I guess. Okay. Let me just take it out regardless, just to show you the tokens, because, I mean, if you paid $80 for this. A bunch of +1/+1s, and charge tokens, because Victory Confetti. And the divider is just the Magic the Gathering logo, but in, you know, vectorial green, because that's what we do with Commander Masters. Now, I move this out of the way. This is going to be a long video, by the way. And let's see. So, Commander, the box that no one uses because everyone buys like boulders or stuff like that. And I love it. It's like colorless. There you go. A collector booster sample pack. A life counter that, again, no one uses. This thing. And the insert, that is the only thing that we care about in this channel. The tokens and the deck itself, with everyone's favorite commander in the back and the new commander in the front. So, let's see. Now, let's see the insert, because this is what we live for. We live for paper, baby. Who wants cardboard when you have paper? Now, Papyrus, Zulodok Void Gorger. And then you have like a bunch of flavor text. I'm not going to read that because, unless you want me to read that, in which case, drop a comment below. So it can be like, Zulodok began as merely a reflection of the great power of Ulamog. Though during his reign of terror, his followers will give him a name to be feared for generations. Millennia after the three Eldrazi titans were sealed away on Zendikar, the first signs of the escape emerged. And, you know, we can go like that. So, Eldrazi Unbound, playing the deck. Just because you like colors doesn't mean you're weak. There you go. And the commander rules. And a very nice art. So, it doesn't say like... Contrary to the Lord of the Ring ones, this doesn't feel like feel as a need to justify why things are a specific color. You will be casting the biggest and scariest spells at the table. Develop your portfolio of artifacts that generate mana and build up your resources for a pivotal turn where you drop your Reality Wrapping Titan. With your commander Zulodok at your side, your colossal colorless spells will pull even more threads from the Blind Eternities. Make mana, cast your commander, and summon the Unfathomable Power of the Void. Playing mana generating permanents early and preparing spells that cost 7 or more will keep you in the game. Zulodok will make the spells, blah, 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 blah. This spell is basically, this deck is basically Hulk Smash, but instead of being green, is colorless. So, let's go in order. Let's go for the Collector Booster Sample Pack, sealed product, not for resale, which, I mean, you really have to be careful opening this because you don't want to bend the card even more. There you go. I just ninja'd it. Meren of Clan Nelthoth, very good commander, and it's foil. Not bad. And Frantic Search with Olivia from Commander at Home being there. Not bad. And, you know, just whatever. So, not bad here. In terms of tokens, I always like to see the tokens first because you can try to guess which kind of deck it will be based on the tokens. And I recommend you that if you're bored anytime, which, I mean, maybe you are because you're watching this channel, you do that with EDH reg decks and stuff like that. Just look at the tokens first and try to guess. So, Zulodok, which, you know, plastic commander, edge foil kind of thing. Thopter, Construct, Spirit, Eldrazi Scion, Manifest, which is a creature that has... You can cover a face-down manifested creature with this reminder card. A manifested creature card can be turned face up anytime for its mana cost. A face-down card can also be turned face up for its morph cost. A bunch of manifests that are Eldrazi Scions and a Phyrexian Germ. The City's Blessing is also a construct. Phyrexian Golem, Ox, Phyrexian Golem, Ox, 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 Ox. Ox course. Now, let's start with the proper deck. So, I think there's a reason why this deck is the most expensive one. Even though the cards in there are kind of, valuable, the Sliver deck, to be honest, is the crappiest one in terms of like what was expected from it and what we got. Because, well, everyone loves the Slivers, and it was kind of made. But this one, now you have 2 commanders and on your turn card, so we're just going to put this here, and let's read the commanders. So what does Zulodok Void Gorger do? For 5 and a waste, remember that, because this is a waste. These are any color. So, legendary creature Eldrazi, 7/4. Colorless spells you cast from your hand with mana value 7 or greater have Cascade. So, this is very good because the moment you cast something from your hand, you cascade twice. And that's very good because if you're casting something that's level 7 from your hand, those 2 cascades are going to be crazy. Now, this sounds better than it actually is, to be honest, because you need to have 7 mana. The deck is kind of equipped for that, but it's not premiumly equipped for that, so it's not really an 80 buck deck, but you can put a couple of upgrades there, basically good mana rocks and just like stuff to give you more speed, and it will be a lot better. This commander is not bad for that. No, there's a trick here, and it's that you see 7 or greater cascade. If you summon something with 7, it's likely you're not going to pull that many Eldrazi in there because most of those guys are like 10 or 9 or even, 11, 12, 13, right? So you're not pulling those ones, you're pulling everything else, I guess, but not them. Also, this card is kind of tricky because when I was fighting against it, I assumed that it was 7/7, and I was scared from attacking that player and attacking this because I thought, it's going to block me, but it's 7/4. So it's actually not that good at defending or defending at some stages of the game. Now, the second commander, Omarthis, Ghostfire Initiate. It's kind of weird that it's not an Eldrazi, the core commander, but whatever. XX for a Spirit Naga that says, Omarthis Ghostfire Initiate enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever you put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on another colorless creature, you may put a +1/+1 counter on Omarthis. When Omarthis dies, manifest a number of cards from the top of your library equal to the number of counters on it. So, it's kind of cascade, but it's not really. So, and what is manifest, right? So, as you saw here, this is manifest. You can cover a face-down manifested creature with this reminder card. A manifested creature card can be turned face-up anytime for its mana cost. A face-down card can also be turned face-up for morph costs. So, it's kind of cascade, but not really. So, I don't know what. Yeah, I guess I am not too much of a 5D chess player to play well with Omarthis, but this is pretty much, Hulk Smash, Cascade kind of thing. People are getting kind of mad about this creature because it has name, and technically there are only 3 Eldrazi with name, technically. But as you saw in the insert, is like a part of another Eldrazi, so whatever. Now, those are the commanders. Let's see the deck itself. Kozilek, the Great Distortion, which is the most used commander in the format. If these decks were like the ones before that had 3 foil cards, Kozilek will also be foiled because you can also use it as a commander. And when you cast this spell, for example, you can cascade this one with 7. You need to actually, improve your game. Now, when you cast this spell, if you have fewer than 7 cards in hand, draw cards equal to the difference. Menace and discard a card with mana value X, counter that spell with mana value X. Avoid as cryptic as reality itself. So, Abstruse Archaic is one of those cards that is like, well, for 4, 3/4 vigilance, 1 and tap, copy target activated or trigger ability you control from a colorless source. So this is a colorless source. This is very good. And this is one of the best cards in here. Calamity of the Titans. It's, there's only like 10 new cards in here, right? So I'm not going to read them all. I'm just going to like focus on the 10 new ones and then just like move over it. But this deck is basically Hulk Smash and heavily leaning into the cascade thing. Now you will see that some of these new cards were made specifically to be under 7 so that you can pull them. Exile each creature and planeswalker with mana value less than the revealed card's mana value. This one casually costs 7. For each opponent, exile up to 1 target permanent that the player controls that's with an even mana value. An Adamant, if at least 3 colorless mana was spent to cast this spell, return a permanent card with an odd mana value from your graveyard to the battlefield, which is a way of, chilling it a little bit. You can cascade it, but you can, Flayer of Loyalties, which is a weird looking card, but actually this one is not 7. Nice looking. When you cast this spell, gain control of the creature at the end of turn. This thing is very dangerous, and this was used against me multiple times because one of the players on the table had type protection. So they said Eldrazi, and well, if someone has that type of thing, there are only very few creatures here, like the Cicada, that can actually go around that because, well, I mean, it's an Eldrazi tribal art deck, so what are you expecting, right? Everything is an Eldrazi. So they have protection from that type. And, well, there's a Golem, there's a Shapeshifter, but overall, most things are Eldrazi's. So, well, there's a couple of constructs there. That sucked. With this thing, you can actually get the power of an Eldrazi, but go around it. So, just copy something, it becomes a 10/10, with Trample, Annihilator 2, and Haste. So this thing doesn't have Haste, but the copy has, and you can just attack with that, and if they kill it, it's not your creature, it's the copy. So that's great. And you see, this deck is kind of trying to play it safe with Annihilator, but it still has Annihilator, so no one likes Annihilator. Like, yes, I get it. Like that's the main reason why Emrakul is banned, but the commander doesn't have Annihilator, which is kind of weird. It only has Cascade. It's kind of weird for an Eldrazi, but that's the thing. The Go commander also doesn't have it. Now, Kozilek has Menace. It's like, okay, that's cool. This is an avatar that has Vigilance, so there's that. Not there. Flyer of Loyalties has Annihilator too. So 2 is not that bad, but you copy a creature and it gets Annihilator too. Now, Rise of the Eldrazi. Destroy target permanent. Target player draws 4 cards. Take an extra turn after this one. Kind of broken. But I also know, because it's very expensive, but Skittering Cicada is the card that is going to do a lot of work for you because it costs 3, has Flash. 2/2, you may cast colorless spells. As 2, they had Flash, which is great. And whenever you cast a colorless spell until the end of turn, Skittering Cicada against Trample and gets +X/+X, where X is a spell's mana value. So this card doesn't make any sense in terms of flavor to be here, I guess. But boy, does this card just fit in here. I will just hope that it was like a, I don't know, Eldrazi Cicada or something, just to be more flavorful. Because it works too well with this deck, but whatever. Ugin's Mastery is whenever you cast a colorless creature spell, manifest the top card of your library. So we keep manifesting. Kind of an okay mechanic. Darksteel Monolith, indestructible. You may pay 0 rather than pay mana cost for a colorless spell you cast from your hand. So this is very good for this deck as well. The idea is that you just bring your stuff that is very expensive into the table. All is dust. Tribal Sorcery. Each player sacrifices all permanents they control that are 1 or more colors. This thing is great for this deck. Well, I mean, obviously it was made for this deck specifically. And Endbringer. 5 and 1 waste on tap during each other. This is very good as well because you can just keep doing 1 damage to stuff. So you can just be like poof, 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 and just keep shooting smaller stuff and tokens and stuff like that, or just keep doing damage to your opponents because it will untap when other player untaps. So there you go. And if you have mana, you can just sabotage other players' turns, which is amazing. So this card is very good and very fun to use. It's a 5/5, so it's not going to like save your day or anything, but this ability of like it untapping on each other player's untap, if you're playing with 4 people or with 3 people, so you're 4, the most normal way of playing, you can just do a bunch of it. And then at the last time, if you still have two free, you can just and draw a card at the end and it gets untapped. So it's great. Endless One, very basic, but you can see that Annihilator is not that present. Like here's Annihilator 2. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card onto the battlefield under your control. This is very aggressive, and this is, I think, one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive spell in the deck. Is kind of an old school Eldrazi. Matter Reshaper. It's very good to get stuff. You see, like, the whole thing here is that, yes, you have a bunch of expensive spells, so like 6, 6, 6, 7, 10, you know, and you want to put them in there. And the deck kind of acknowledges that their mana base is kind of bad, so the way of going around it is with card effects. So you make them spells, you make them exile stuff. This makes stuff easier to cast, and you can just keep creating stuff and destroy everything that is, you know, not colorless. Not colorless. More constructs, more attacks, duplicates to create stuff, endless artifacts, Forsaken Monument. So I guess this is okay for a commander deck, and this is the thing that I wanted to. Oh, Caldra Complete, not bad. That I wanted to convey with this deck. It's like, this deck is good, yes. Is it $100 good? No. The base is there to be a good deck. You can see that they didn't go full out with like a bunch of Eldrazi's. You have a bunch of artifacts and golems and stuff like that, because they need to, you know, it needs to be colorless. So you have some Eldrazi, but most of it are artifacts, because there are not that many Eldrazi and they didn't want to print more, I guess. So it's just permanents to attack, permanents to defend yourself, big ass creatures, Phyrexian Triniform or Triniform, Solemn Simulacrum, Soul of New Phyrexia, a bunch of, you know, dangerous, horrible things to summon. Now, from my times playing with this deck, you will realize that this deck only has 2 modes. And this may sound kind of obvious, and you may be thinking, isn't that every deck, my dear friend? It's like, well, no. The 2 modes are, either this thing kicks into gear and no one can stop you, or it doesn't ever kick into gear. As you can see, there's a bunch of like colorless lands that give you some other stuff to help you around, but see, there are like 10 Eldrazi maybe in this deck. Everything else is just like golems and artifacts. Very good artifacts, because, well, normally in Commander, colorless mana is like whatever, but in this deck, it really just fits. Now they do that thing where they just like keep putting cards again. So you have Artisan of Kozilek, Bane of Balageth, 7 level mana, so everything is like there. Tribal Instant, Eldrazi, Spatial Contortion, Titan's Presence, not bad. So this is, you just need to keep the engine going until you can just start dropping big ass monsters. Now, there's one thing with your big ass monsters. They are not as protected as you may think. So there is that, right? You have a bunch of lands that have extra effects. You see, like, choose target commander, put +1/+1. This is, it gives you double only for Eldrazi's. At the end of turn, creatures you opponent you control lose hexproof. Like, there's a bunch of just disruption in these lands, besides the fact that they give you colorless. So it really just feels like it's more like a colorless tribal. I mean, I guess that you can pick half of this deck to build like a proper colorless deck, and not really, you know, and then just a bunch of wastes. So waste, like, not much there. So long story short for this deck, is this deck worth it in terms of value? Well, more or less. I mean, if you really like Eldrazi's, I think you will have a better time just building one deck yourself and just buying the singles, because if it's $100 or more or bucks or euros or whatever, yeah, I think you can get the cards for cheaper and even get better cards. Every time that we play with this deck has a problem, and it's called Eldrazi, and it's called Annihilator. So it only has like 3 cards with Annihilator, and it's like Annihilator 2. It's nothing out of this world. It's kind of decent, it's kind of okay. But everyone hates Annihilator. And even if you're playing with newer players that, you know, they don't fear Annihilator. They will fear 10-10 creatures and 11-11 creatures and stuff like that. So maybe you pull one, and the way that this deck is built is that until this gets into the battlefield, which is not that, it's not that expensive, it's like 6, you just kind of need to hang in there with the cheaper creatures and some lands to protect yourself and artifacts and stuff like that. The moment this kicks, you want to summon the expensive stuff so you can keep spending, summoning some expensive stuff. So if I had to describe this deck as a Mario Kart character, it would be Bowser or Donkey Kong, right? It's like very heavy, very slow. It takes a lot of time to accelerate, but once it accelerates, it's the fastest card in Mario Kart, and since it's very heavy, every other card that tries to bump you will just bump off because you are stronger. So that's what happens here. The problem with this is that since you have all these bad mofos in your deck, you will become their enemy. Like there is no doubt in my mind. Like of all the decks, like considering that this one is the other one that is like super good type dangerous kind of deck, unless you have played against the slivers in the past, you will kind of ignore them until they snowball you. But this is not that easy. The moment you see that like Kozilek got dropped and like this thing got dropped, it's like, oh, it's a 7/4, that's okay. And then you do you drop Kozilek, which costs 10, and it cascades, and you can just you just summon another thing that costs 10 or something, and just like in a turn, your board is something like this, and it's like, oops, right? So even if you get to that point, if you just manage to summon an Eldrazi and just attack once, and you have to annihilate something, people will notice, and you will become the archenemy. So overall, is a good deck. Yes, it's kind of simple. There is not that much to do. Like I kind of dislike a lot this mechanic, like the manifest one. For this deck, I dislike it. It doesn't feel like, I get it, like the Eldrazi are hidden and then they awake, and that's the thing. But it doesn't feel like I'm getting anything besides like an extra hand, and you don't want that because you are supposed to get stuff from your deck. So yeah, I don't get it. The commander is okay. I think it's more flexible than Kozilek for you to do some Eldrazi chaos in an Eldrazi base deck. Now, is this thing worth $100? No, it's not. Not even 80, I may say. But if you want Hulk Smash decks, this is your deck, and it's colorless. So, well, if you want to do like a good colorless, deck, I guess, because the only other two good commanders for colorless are Kozilek and Karn. Karn Legacy Reforged or something it's called. So I guess there is that. So that's basically this deck. Long story short, Hulk Smash, you will become their enemy. There is some flexibility, but this deck is very, very slow to start. Once it starts, you are pretty much unstoppable. At least in terms of brute force, because you don't have that much protection stuff. You see that you have cards that remove hexproof from people, but you don't have that much stuff to protect yourself. So your protection is attack. What you want to do with that deck is just attack, 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 attack. That's your deck. Eldrazi in a nutshell. So I guess I like it. I won't marry it, but I like it. Now, for the second most like deck, even though this was the most expensive one at the beginning when the speculation was all over the place, because 5 colors. Well, the mana base has to be good, because when Wizards releases a 5-color deck, the mana base is always a little bit better because it needs to be. Otherwise, you can't summon anything. And it's a sliver deck, right? Everyone loves the slivers because they are a freaking pain. Actually, the only people that like slivers are the people playing with the slivers. No one else likes the slivers. The rest, you just suffer them. A bunch of +1s, and victory confetti. And in the back, same thing. Now, as happened with the other one, just move this out of the way. Sliver Grave Mother. That's actually a very good commander. We will see in a second. Kind of hard to understand at the beginning, but very good. So, cardboard, life counter, insert, very important, tokens, deck, and collector booster sample. So we put this in here because we have to be ordered about our stuff. And now the insert, let's see, because we do love inserts in this channel. Sliver Swarm. Slivers return on the back of a powerful new legendary sliver. Well, that's more or less true. And the this mighty swarm of symbiotic life forms shares a hive mind and strengthens each other, blah, blah, blah. I can just summarize it to you. Every sliver adds a new effect to all slivers. So you just want to keep summoning slivers and just, power yourself. And some flavor text. Slivers have evolved to conquer every situation they encounter. And now, with the power of Sliver Grave Mother, they evolve even beyond death. The Blazewalker Vault Wrath is known for bringing slivers to Wrath and subsequently Dominaria, but the true origins and the extent that slivers have spread across the multiverse is still a mystery. So, until one time, the next event is like Sliver Invasion, because you just keep copying Marvel, so I guess, Secret Invasion, Sliver Invasion. That will be, in terms of sleeve, use transparent sleeves with the Eldrazi because they are colorless, right? And with the slivers, use silver because it's a funny wordplay. Sliver, silver, silver, silver. Now for the sample booster, the other was kind of easy to open. This one not so much. There you go. Secret there. Underworld Stadium. You can get a black or green if you have more than 2 opponents. And Dread Return in foil, which is not bad. Now, tokens. Let's see the tokens because this can tell you what type of deck we are, about to see, even though we already know the type of deck that we're about to see or whatever. Sliver Grave Mother, we will see in a second. Sliver Army. A Sliver. Copy. Sliver, copy, 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 sliver, and copy. The Monarch. So not that much in terms of variety. And Sliver Grave Mother, we can put it here. Now, for the cards themselves, let's see. Off camera, you don't see me fighting with the plastics, but I do every day. Now, on your turn, we just save this one into the box, and the commander and the co-commander. No, the Sliver Grave Mother is all colors, and it says the legend rule doesn't apply to slivers you control, which is very dangerous, and each sliver creature card in your graveyard has Encore X, where X is its mana value. Encore 5. 5, exile this card from your graveyard. For each opponent, create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn if able. They can haste, sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step, activate only as a sorcery. So there is that. And Lukrembo Biologist, which is also 5 colors. It's a human wizard, and it says, as Lukrembo Biologist enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Spoilers, it's gonna be slivers. Slivers you control and non-token creatures you control are the chosen type in addition to their other creature types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. 3 and tap create a 1/1 colorless sliver creature token. So the commander is kind of obvious what it does, but if in case you got confused by the mix of words, let me show you. The 6/6 thing is nice, but the legend rule is important, the fact that it doesn't apply because it will create copies. And each sliver creature card in your graveyard has Encore, and X is the mana value. So Encore means that you can bring them back from the graveyard, and you create a token. For each opponent, you create a token that's attacking that opponent. So if you're playing against 3 people, you create 3 copies. They have haste, they attack. Why the legend rule disappears? Because if you copy a legendary sliver, and they have the legend rule, they will destroy each other before they attack. So That's why this thing is there. You can also use that for other interesting combos, mind you. But, kind of basic, kind of interesting, and you play with your graveyard. Now, this card here is kind of weird because it has all sorts of potential to do interesting things. But I don't know why it's in... obviously you're supposed to say, I mean, it's in the picture, she's playing with slivers, all that, you say slivers, and you just, slivers you control and non-token creatures you control are the chosen type. So it will be slivers, I guess, unless you really want them to change type because there is a danger somewhere. This may be useful for that. As I said, with the Eldrazi deck, one of the players had a card that protects them against that type of creature. So if that's the case, and people get protection from the slivers, you can actually say that they are vampires or something. And there you go, you overcome that. Now, the problem is that it will get you around those limitations, but the effects of your slivers will just be destroyed because all the effects say slivers you control get X, and if they are not slivers, they are vampires. Well, it says in addition to their other creature types, so I guess that they will be sliver vampires or something like that. So the effects still apply, but if you have protection from the slivers, then it doesn't matter. Then I don't know. The same is true for creatures that you don't control, and it just creates a colored sliver. I don't know. This co-commander, I'm not feeling it overall, and you will see this. All co-commanders in this deck are kind of meh. In the 4 decks are kind of meh. And you will see, this one I feel is very meh, to be honest. Or I'm just not smart enough to understand the possible uses of it. Regal Sliver is one of the 10 new cards or something. So Regal Sliver gives you +1/+1 if you are the monarch. If you're not, then you become the monarch. That's okay. Taunting Sliver. And mind you, most of them are the same things, 3 and 1 for 3 trees that give you something. When this creature enters the battlefield, go target creature opponent controls. So this is interesting. I don't know why it's in blue, but Titan of Littjara is an illusion. You choose a creature type again, and it becomes the chosen type, so it will be a sliver, so it gets all the benefits of being a sliver. Whenever Titan of Littjara enters the battlefield or attacks, you may draw a card for each creature you control that shares a creature type with it. This is very good for that reason. Now I can see the co-commander maybe helping creatures that you may have here as support that are not slivers, so that they have the benefits of being slivers. But if you're running a sliver deck, just have every card being a sliver. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless. You can have cards like this that just copy that because that's the point. Lazotep Sliver, again, same logic. This is basically a cycle that they put in here. 3 and 1. They have Afflict 2, which means whenever they become blocked, defending player loses 2 life. And it also has Amass Slivers 2, which is good for armies. So this is actually very good. Black sometimes gets preferential treatment for some reason. Silver creatures you control get whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player except the top card of the library. You may play that card this turn, which is kind of good as well. Descendant's Fury. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice one of them. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card that shares creature type with the sacrificed creature. Put a card onto the battlefield, the rest on the bottom, so to get more slivers. For the Ancestors, choose a creature type, it's gonna be a slivers. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal any number of cards from the chosen type among them and put the cards into your hand, etc., etc. And it has flashback. And the green one that has each sliver spell you cast has replicate. And replicate means when you cast a spell, copy it for each time you paid its replicate cost, which is very good, very expensive because it's mana cost. And Bonsai Sliver. Slivers you control have double strike, which is very good. Cleansing Nova because you need a board wipe. Please, Hash Mercy. Each player chooses a creature type. Destroy all creatures that aren't of a type chosen this way. They can't be regenerated. This is kind of good, but at the same time, in Commander, most of the time, people are playing tribals. And if they are not, they only have one of some types in the battlefield. So you say slivers, they say vampires, the other says zombies, and no one gets anything destroyed except for a very specific few cards. Gale Rider Sliver. Everyone has flying. Whenever it deals combat damage, you may draw a card, and you can already guess what this deck is all about. So I'm just going to show the cards as I talk about the deck. So this is the basic sliver deck. The best slivers are not here because Wizards has to keep their reprint value, their reprint equity, sorry. So obviously, even though this deck got hyped and a lot of people bought it because they thought that some of the best slivers may be here because that's the only logical reason for a deck that costs $80, that wasn't the case. So a Slivers creature you control have indestructible. Great. And it's a legendary creature, so see, this doesn't get affected by Grave Mother when it's copied. The whole reason here, and see, Icon of Ancestry has the slivers there, same way that the Path of Ancestry has now slivers there. So there is a story baking somewhere. Vanquisher's Banner, which is very good. You can already guess what are you supposed to do with this deck, right? Like what you do with this deck is basically slivers on top of slivers on top of slivers. And the upgrades that you can do is just remove the less good slivers and put the good ones, even though they are very expensive. All the cards that are mandatory for Commander nowadays are here. I guess that's why it's a premium deck, because you get Path of Ancestry, Command Tower, Ash Barrens, Sol Ring, Folwar Stone, Arcane Signet, and all that stuff. That costs like 5 cents. Constricting Sliver, Sentinel Sliver, Sinnoh Sliver, Diffusion Sliver. You see the point, right? Like everything is a sliver, and everything that is not are cards that say choose a creature type. So if something is not a sliver, it will become, and everything that is not a sliver just dies. So this is the definition of a tribal deck. Now, the biggest problem with this deck for you as a player, to be honest, and actually for everyone else at the table, is to keep track of all the freaking things that these slivers do, because you have to just read everyone and assume that every card has everything. So that's kind of it. Because see, they have Death Touch, and now they have Flying and Death Touch and Shroud and etc, etc, etc. So it's an interesting deck. It's very confusing. Now, as the player, you have an advantage, as I said, over the Eldrazi deck, and is that people won't see you coming, because all slivers are very small, right? It's like, oh, it's a 2/2, is that, it's a 3/3, is it, like they're not that big. This is one of the biggest, and it's like 5/5, and the commander is a 6/6, but like they're not that powerful. Their strength is in numbers, and most importantly, the skills that they have that just multiply out of each other, and that's what you want. And that's what makes this deck kind of slithering, because people, as you can see, like the mana base is kind of good because, well, it's 5 colors, so it needs to be good. Like it doesn't have that many basic lands. Has 3 green because math, I guess. But it's not great. You're gonna still upgrade it with a bunch of mana rocks and stuff like that. But overall, that's the thing with this deck. Slivers, basic slivers. I still think that this deck should be, I mean, if you want to really rank them based on their price, my guess is that this deck should be more expensive than the Eldrazi one, although that's not the case in most stores, because it's more sneaky. It sneaks on you, unless you know what a sliver does, and like right? So if it doesn't catch you by surprise. But for most people, it will be like, oh, whatever. It's like a 3/3. Oh yeah, slivers are accumulating power, whatever. Like we can just focus on the guy with the zombies or the guy with whatever, But you will get people surprised a bunch of times by this. I just hope this had better slivers. But hey, if you can find this cheap like less than $80, ideally. Well, now it's at $80, so I guess that's not that bad. But if you can find it for like $80 or something, or less, ideally, with a couple of upgrades, it becomes a very, 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 very dangerous thing. So, but that's a strategy, right? Things just multiply with each other. You just need to keep track of all the things that you have going on the field. because that's where the strength is, in the numbers, and more importantly than numbers, in the effects. Now, the next deck, Enduring Enchantments. I'm gonna be honest, this is the most boring one of the three, and my hope when I saw, because when the decks got announced, they got announced like this, right? You only see that it's like Enduring Enchantments and the colors, and maybe you see the character, but like the character it doesn't matter. What matters is this, and you see the theme. It's like, oh, Enduring Enchantments and 3 colors. I was like, okay. The other one said Slivers, and the other said Eldrazi, so you're like, oh, okay. And this says Planeswalker, so this is kind of meh. When they show the deck, which, just for reference, when they show the deck, to be honest, I was like, by the way, Enchanting to Beat You. I always forget to read these things. Let's read the others. Sorry, I'm a sucker for these things. I just love the details. For Eldrazi is Titans Fit for Fighting, which seems like the slogan for a 90s kid cartoon that has toys. Like, you know, more than meets the eye and stuff like that. And for the Sliver Swarm is Hive Minds. Everyone's thinking about them. Yay! Jerry Seinfeld is in the house, everyone. Now, to be honest, this is the most boring deck of them all. But at the same time, that's what makes it surprising. Just +1/+1 counters. Same thing here. Nothing to see here, people. Move on. And the box with the commander, and by now you know the drill, you know what comes in each one of these, so try to make it fast. This, the deck, the tokens, the insert, and the 2 things that no one cares about, sadly, because I mean the life counter is kind of useful. Now for the insert, because we do care about that, we need to appreciate these things. One of these days they will just remove it, like they remove the book from the bundles and everyone complains after the fact. So Onyxia, Hand of Erebos. So this is Theros, and since this is Theros, this is great right off the bat, because Theros is a great plane, because Greek mythology. But she is dead, and she's basically like a ghost, because it says when Onyxia walked among the living, she was an ambitious monster slayer, blah, blah, blah. But now she's back. So, or she's from the underworld. And doing enchantments, you eat, sleep, and breathe enchantments. So you cast enchantments, and that's what we're about to see. Now, why? This is the most boring deck from every perspective, I will say. I don't think it's the worst. I actually think that the worst one is the one that I like the most in terms of concept, but we will see in a second that the only thing that this deck has going for it is that this color combination, so black, green, and white, didn't have a good enchantment commander for them. Personal Tutor, not bad, and Elvish Mystic, not great. So there's that. And now let's see the tokens, so you can get an idea, and we can see again the drama of the. So copy, and what these copies are: a human soldier, bird, Avacyn, Fighting Vigilance Indestructible. This is interesting. Copy, Pegasus, Ryuseken Angel, Cleric, Cat Beast, Elf Warrior, Cleric, Human Warrior. Oh man, I was about to say, oh, this is nice. This deck is kind of Theros themed, at least from the commanders, and the tokens are Theros themed. Like, nice. You know, copy is not, but copy is whatever. Like, bird is whatever. Avacyn obviously is not, but you know, whatever. Pegasus is also Theros. Angel is not really, but it can fit. This is Theros theme. The Elf Warrior can fit into Theros. The cat can fit into Theros, and then I got a Viking, and it's like, oh, okay, so Theros is over. This was just a coincidence. And the Zombie Army from Amonkhet. So long for my argument. A worm and a spider. Now, from a player perspective, why I find this deck boring or disappointing is because, well, you release a set called Commander Masters, and instead of doing what everyone is expecting from you, which is, well, just launch like collector boosters and set boosters, you release draft and commander decks. And the commander decks have all interesting themes, like Eldrazi, okay, a colorless deck, Slivers, okay. Those were never released by Wizards before, and those are interesting, concepts. So I guess that's good. The Planeswalkers as well. And then enchantments, they did that a lot. I guess that the thing that you can argue is that they never did it for this color combination. And I guess that's the theme. All 4 decks are things that Wizards never did, I guess. Now, for the cards themselves, the commanders. You have 2 commanders. You have the commander and the co-commander, second commander. Anixia, Hand of Erebos, for 2, 1 white, 1 black, 1 green, is a 4/4 demigod with menace. Other enchantments creatures you control have menace. And whenever Anixia enters the battlefield or attacks, exile up to 1 target non-aura enchantment card from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 3/3 black zombie creature in addition to its other types. So, zombies and menace with enchantments. And then, which by the way is kind of bent, thank you, Wizards. And then Narcy, Fablesinger. For 1, 1 white, 1 black, 1 green, is a human bard that has lifelink. Whenever you sacrifice an enchantment, draw a card. And whenever the final chapter ability of a saga you control resolves, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is that saga's mana value. So, and this is where the thing gets iffy, and we will see in a second, is that, as you can see, sagas are enchantments. And that's kind of the theme. Like, you do have a bunch of enchantments, but the co-commander wants to have sagas. And sagas are not that good, which is sad because I kind of like the concept of a saga. But you have some sagas, you don't have a lot of them in this deck, which kind of, it's not a saga deck. Like if the deck was called like Super Sagas or something, like you have like 10 sagas here, which is not bad. But, and I mean, they count as enchantments, but, well, maybe you have like 8 sagas or something. Like, but again, well, with the co-commander, I guess it works, but like they lose X life, you gain X life, it's like, like, whatever, I don't know. Like, I mean, it counts that you draw a card at the end because you sacrifice the sagas at the end, so it counts. If you just play sagas, the co-commander is actually very good. But in this deck, it's not the main thing, so I guess you need to use the other one, which is kind of flexible and not that bad as a commander. It's one, it's a kind of a good commander. So this is where Avacyn comes from. Battle at the Hell Vault, which I don't know why it will be here. For each player, exile up to 1 target non-saga, non-land permanent that player controls until Battle at the Hell Vault leaves the battlefield. And then at the 3rd stage, you get Avacyn. Boon of the Spirit Realm, Constellation. Whenever Boon of the Spirit Realm or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a blessing counter on the Spirit Realm. When and it gets +1/+1. Creatures you control get +1/+1 for each blessing and blessing counter on this card. Spirit Dancer. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you may create a token that's a copy of it. Do that only once each turn. So as usual, the first 10 cards, which are the new cards, are the best cards in this deck because, well, they were made for this deck. When Cacophony Unleashed enters the battlefield, if you cast it, destroy all non-enchantment creatures. Whenever Cacophony Unleashed or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control until the end of turn, Cacophony Unleashed becomes a legendary 6/6 Nightmare God creature with menace and Death Touch. It's still an enchantment. So everything is an enchantment here. So if you're fighting against someone that has a bunch of enchantment removals, pray to your demigod or your demigod because you're screwed, man. You're screwed beyond belief. Demon of Fate's Design. You make as an enchantment. You see where this is going, right? Enchant a creature. This is kind of a constellation or enchantment enters the battlefield. So everything is enchantment and constellations, and this costs X. The total money of non-creature enchantments you control. It has trample. You sacrifice another enchantment and it gains indestructible. So it's enchantment tribal, right? Everything that is not you create a Pegasus whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield. So everything that's not an enchantment creates an enchantment. That's kind of the vibe that we're going on here. And that's why this deck is kind of okay. It's not that bad. I mean, it's not worth $80 by any means. And to be honest, some of these decks may only be worth $80 if they include like massive crazy reprints, which they have some good reprints. Like I'm not going to act like they don't, but like they needed better mana base. The mana base is what makes or breaks a commander deck in terms of level. Like if you see a level 7 commander deck and then a level 8 and a level 9, yes, they have like super crazy cards, but most of the value, most of the crazy cards, it's in the mana, like in the lands, the mana rocks, and all that stuff. Because, well, that's what makes you go faster, and that's what makes the difference in the battlefield. So, I guess that's it, right? As you can see, about sagas and enchantments. Enchantment creature, add X, where X is the number of enchantments you control. So you just enchant. They just went enchantment tribal with green, black, and white, and they never looked back. And it's not that bad because of it. It's kind of okay. Like, you're not going to marry this deck, but I mean, it's kind of okay. Now, I think what hurts this deck, really, is being next to the others. Because yes, it's a new color combination for enchantments that Wizards never did a deck on, and we were lacking support for. But it's not as flashy as a Planeswalker party or like Slivers and Eldrazi, right? Like, Slivers and Eldrazi are two of the most beloved archetypes in Magic. Planeswalkers, either you love them or you hate them because Wizards really shove those things in our faces, so a lot of people just despise Planeswalkers at this point. There's a reason why Planeswalkers are not used in Commander. Or if they are used, they're kind of die too fast. And therefore they don't have a place in Commander. Also, the fact that Wizards just overuses those characters in their stories and stuff like that, it's not that great. Again, I guess that the good mana base or the $80 value is in the fact that they have all the Commander, mandatory cards in there. Spirit the Companion, never leave your house without it. See, some stuff in here is just like, well, sacrifice a creature, discard a card, and then put a creature or Planeswalker card from your graveyard into the battlefield. This is very good. But again, a saga, and the problem with sagas is that they are there for 3 turns. Those 3 turns, just, until you don't have like ways to accelerate this. If you don't have proliferate, like it's not like you can just augment the lore counters. I don't remember if there is a card here for lore counters. But see, well, this is very useful. Creature and enchantment spells you control can be countered. Oh, that's great, but unless you give hexproof to stuff, you are just there, right? So, you can see where this is going, or where this deck is. Oh, rampant growth, nice. You can see where this deck is headed. It's kind of good. Again, the problem with this deck is like it's not an $80 deck, and that's the big problem here. Like, I saw this deck just before recording this video for like $50. $50 seems more like it. It's like it's a good deck. If you want to pay a premium for it, or you want to charge premium for it, put it $10 above. So instead of $40 that they normally cost, you can go for $50. I guess that's decent. But this deck is kind of okay. This deck is okay. The problem is that it's not $80, and that's what kills it. Because if this was like in March of the Machine or in Lord of the Rings or something, like in a normal prize set, people will be like, oh, this deck is very good. But the problem is that it came next to the other 2 beasts and it costs $80. In terms of strategy and what people will expect from you on the table, they won't be expecting much. They will just kind of deal with you. And that's the thing. It's like a normal deck. I guess that you do some weird plays with enchantments that people won't be expecting, I guess. But you will be average. If you change some cards and improve this deck, then it becomes kind of a better machine. But again, is a very good deck, period. And the thing that hinders it the most is the price. Now, should the price condition how we evaluate like the deck itself? Well, yes, it should, because the price is what determines whether you buy it or not. And that's the problem. Now, last but not least, because this video is very long, as you can see in the time by now. I mean, you may likely be very tired of my voice by now, unless you put me as a podcast while you work or something, in which case, continue with your hard work or workout. Just, keep the grind, bro. Just keep doing it, keep pushing. That's the way you go. That's the path of the dragon, bro. Just keep doing it. We work to buy cardboard. That's how it goes. So this was the Magic deck that I was the most excited about for Commander Masters, and it just hurts my heart so much, because the first thing that bothered me is that, as I said, you see the thing like this, right? I saw Commodore Goff and I was like, what? Because only some people know who this dude is. But the thing that bothered me is like, why 3 colors? If one of the decks should be 5 colors, with the Planeswalker part, in my opinion, because I mean, Super Friends, 5 colors, all that. But, well, they picked 3, so there's that. Now, the Go Commander is there, Leori, which is certainly a commander, and we will see this deck. This deck, people overall dislike this deck, because, again, the other 2 decks are kind of good. All of them are overpriced, mind you, but the other decks are kind of good. They have interesting themes. And it's like, oh, Eldrazi, oh, Slivers. And the other is like, oh, enchantments. It kind of works. And then this one is Planeswalkers. And no one cares about Planeswalkers. I mean, trust me. I don't care about Planeswalkers either. I was about to forget to read the thing. A Planeswalker team up centuries in the making. Well, that's true. Because Commodore Goff is dead since a long time ago. And the same applies to other Planeswalkers that you will see here. So this is the more instead of a Planeswalker party, this is more like a Planeswalker funeral. But I digress. Let's see. Commander Masters, the deck, counter, cardboard, insert. This goes in here, we move it. Let's see the insert. In case you don't know, Commodore Goff is the dude that made us, make the win, or made the win for against the Phyrexians the first time it happened. And like this last time, where they all just disconnected because the plane disappeared and Norn died, and the oil apparently works with Wi-Fi. So even though the whole thing with the oil was that it was irreversible, and the only thing that you needed to become a Phyrexian was a drop, and blah, 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 blah. The plane that they are in is not even their plane, it's a converted plane. For some reason, if new Phyrexians disappear, I don't want to go too much into it, but the first time that the Phyrexians attacked, the heroes actually lost. And Commodore Goff is Deadpool, basically. Is the fourth wall breaking character that has access to a library where he can see the past and the future. And when he saw that they lost, I don't remember which other character told him, like, well, just rewrite the book, you dumbass, and we can win. And he did, and he changed the future, or he changed history, and that's why they won. And that's kind of disappointing, because it was like a Deus Ex Machina, but hey. And as you can see, he's fourth wall breaking, and you can see that in the text, which is very long. And it says, oh, where to begin the story of the inimitable and extremely handsome Commodore Goff? Well, not to spoil the whole thing, but you're reading this, I am dead by now. Whenever now is. To wit, I am known by my admirers as a creator of the most wonderful library in the multiverse. Blah, 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 blah. And you can see the story here. Basically, what I was telling you is here in better detail. So if you want to read this, pause the video. And if you want me to read that, drop me a comment. And I can just do like a Magic the Gathering audiobook, I guess. Planeswalker party, playing the deck. So Magic heroes congregate on the side of the deck. It's funny because they still insist in the thing that the Planeswalkers are the heroes, when sometimes there are some legendary creatures that are more relevant to the story or more important, but they really just focus on the 5 Planeswalkers or 10 Planeswalkers that we know. And that makes it kind of tiresome, because it's like, how many times can these dudes be in trouble all the time? Like, how can it be that they just all stumble upon the same problems again and again and again? Rise of the Eldrazi for the other deck, not bad. And a Command Tower in foil, not bad as well. Now tokens, let's see the tokens for the deck that broke my heart. And again, you may be thinking, hey Pax, but do you like Planeswalkers? Are you one of those guys? And it's like, no, I actually don't like that much. And every time someone pulls one, I kill it right away in a Commander match. But, well, you can see where this is going, right? Wall, Core Ally, Dragon, Core Ally, Ajani, Wizard, Chandra, Wizard, Chandra, because there are multiple Chandras, Wizard, Narset, Wizard, Elspeth, Copy, Soldier, Servo, Soldier, Ogre, and Soldier, Ogre. So it's a Planeswalker deck. Now, the thing that I don't... The commander is kind of bad. Like, it's just... So, to put you in my headspace, when I saw a commander deck just of Planeswalkers, my thoughts were full of excitement. I guess that I would be more excited if the deck was from Secret Lair, sorry, because that's where the good stuff is put nowadays, apparently. For $150, you get a commander deck. Apparently, $80 is not enough for a good commander deck, but when you see that the commander is a Planeswalker, it kind of defeats the purpose. Why? Because it's very fragile. It says, for one blue, one red, one white, at the beginning of your end step, put a loyalty counter on another target Planeswalker you control. So that's good, because by the end of your turn, you can just increase a Planeswalker just by one. But hey, and it has +1, create a 1/1 red wizard creature token with tap and gives you 1 red mana. Spend this per mana only to cast a Planeswalker. Why is that kind of bad? Because it's only red. It should be like red, blue, white, or something, or any color. Spend that color to cast a Planeswalker card or something. Like, just red. You are the commander of the deck, a 3-color deck, and you only regenerate red mana. Why? The thing is that it generates cannon fodder because the red wizards, you can defend yourself with them. So there's that. But yeah, it's not very good. And the -3 is just very meh. You draw X cards and Commodore Goff deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of Planeswalkers you control. Not very good. So I don't think you're ever going to use the ultimate. What you're going to do is just create red wizards just to have cannon fodder and hope for everyone else to not have flying. But the fact that they only give red mana just rubs me the wrong way. Now, the co-commander, Leory, Spark Touch Hunter, which is a very elegant way of saying it's like a Planeswalker, but not really. For 1 blue, 1 red, 1 white, it is a 3/3 elemental cat that has Flying, Vigilance, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, choose a Planeswalker type. At the end of turn, whenever you activate an ability of a Planeswalker of that type, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copies. Now, this is actually a better commander for your deck than Commodore Goff, which is kind of ironic. But for this to work, you actually need to change your deck a little bit to have a lot of the same type of Planeswalkers, because you have a couple of Chandras here, but you don't have that much repetition. Ideally, you should have like all the Chandras in here, or something like that. You should have like a lot of repetition, so that this card, as your commander, can do a lot of damage, because you can just copy your effects. If you have this one and you have Goff, and you can say Goff, and it's like, well, you only have one Goff, you can do +1, and it goes +1 twice, right? I guess that's good. But now let's see the actual deck. The concept of the deck, I find it super interesting. Now, the execution is very mad, because you want Planeswalkers to stay on the field. The only way of having Planeswalkers stay on the field is to protect them, because they are very fragile. They're more fragile than you. You have 40 points. You don't have like 5 or 3 or whatever. So you have cards like this. Whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you or a Planeswalker, draw a card. And whenever they cast the second opponent, draw a card. So you get cards. You put 3 loyalty counters on it. You can move loyalty counters. It's basically a deposit for loyalty counters that gives you mana. So that's good, I guess. Onake Oathkeeper is a heuristic studies for planeswalkers, which is kind of good. Creatures can attack planeswalkers you control unless they pay 1 for each creature they control that's attacking a planeswalker you control, and that's kind of good. And you can exile it from the graveyard to return a planeswalker. So this is kind of good, but now this card is only for defense. The card does nothing, and that's kind of the theme that you will see. Most of these cards are just for defense, and you're just relying on the planeswalker. So there is not really any good way to finish anyone in this deck, which is because a lot of the planeswalkers they included have like Mind Sculptor levels of finishers, right? They have kind of finishers. For example, Teyo, Geometric Tactician, enters the battlefield, creates a wall, which is great because it has flying. So the wall can protect you as in your planeswalkers. And +1, you and target opponent each draw a card. Thank you, I guess. And -2, choose left or right until your next turn. Each player may attack only the nearest opponent in the last chosen direction and planeswalkers controlled by that opponent. So this is good because you can just pick the opposite direction of the one you're playing and then switch back and just choose the one that is less likely to attack you. So again, evasive maneuvers the deck. Sharpshaker Visionary. At the beginning of combat, your next turn, choose any number of target planeswalkers. Until the end of turn, they become 3/3 blue bird creatures with flying, hexproof, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, scry 1. So, and it's a 0/5. So, they are no longer planeswalkers, but loyalty abilities can still be activated, which is kind of crazy. You're basically protecting your planeswalkers by hiding them behind stuff, which I think is interesting. We're just we're just missing a way of killing people with this. Because like, okay, attack. They become birds. You can attack with those birds because they have flying. You can scry if you get the stuff, and they, till the end of turn, they are birds. So, it's only on your turn. But if you have a card that skips the end of your turn, then it goes. Now, Vronos, this is funny because most planeswalkers here are either dead or disappeared. And Vronos is the planeswalker for Magic. Is the avatar character for Magic. What was the name of the Magic the Gathering game? Duels of the Planeswalkers. I played that thing on the Xbox 360. And it's funny because this guy is also dead. He was killed by Garrus. But it's an interesting card. For 3 and 2 white, Vronos, it says +1 up to 2 other target planeswalkers you control phase out at the beginning of the next end step. And treat them as and anything attached to them as though they don't exist. So basically you hide them again. It's like, okay, we finish the turn and zip. It says other 2 target planeswalkers, so you still need to protect Vronos, but the other 2, they disappear. And that's good, because you can just keep protecting your planeswalkers, and that's the theme of the deck. For -2, for each opponent, return up to 1 target on non-land permanent that player controls to its owner hand. And for -7, target artifact you control becomes a 9/9 construct artifact with vigilance, indestructible, and this creature can be blocked. So the 9/9 is kind of meh, and the -2 is kind of okay, but the +1 is the thing that you want to just keep spamming to protect your planeswalkers. And you see that's the theme, right? Chandra, Legacy of Fire. Chandra, at the beginning of your end step, Chandra deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of planeswalkers you control. So you really need those planeswalkers. And you see that Wizards knows why planeswalkers are not played, because they die too fast. So they give you ways to protect them, but they are not that good. So the whole deck just feels lacking. The idea feels interesting, but it just feels lacking. +1, add red mana for each planeswalker you control, and 0, remove a loyalty counter from each of any number of permanents you control. Exile that many cards from the top of your library, you may play them this turn. Not bad. And Goff rewrites history. That's how we got saved from Phyrexia. It's an instant that says, for each player, choose target non-enchantment, non-land permanent that player controls. Those permanents owners shuffle them into the libraries. Each player who controls one of those permanents exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an non-land card, then puts the rest on the bottom of the library in a random order. Each player may cast the non-land card they exile without paying its mana cost. This is a bunch of text for a okay effect, I guess. Jaya's Phoenix is kind of good though. This is one of the best cards in here. Is for 4 and 1 red, is a 3/3 that has Flaying and Haste, and whenever Jaya's Phoenix, although I think Jaya is the one that died. So this is, again, see, it's Planeswalker's Funeral more than Party. Whenever Jaya's Phoenix deals combat damage to a player or Planeswalker, copy the next loyalty ability you activate this turn. When you activate it, you may choose new targets for it. That's great. But then, when you cast a Planeswalker spell, you may return Jaya's Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield. And that's even better. So this card is great. Ajani Steadfast. Until the end of turn, up to 1 card gets +1/+1, first strike, vigilance, and lifelink. And you can put -2. You get +2/+2 on a creature and a loyalty counter on each other Planeswalker you control, which is kind of good for spamming. For -7, you get an emblem that says if a source will do damage to you or a Planeswalker you control, prevent all but 1 of damage. That's great. So you need to spam Ajani so that it gets strong enough to have that emblem. Deploy the Gatewatch. Funny that Liliana is here because this deck has no black, so it kind of sucks. Look at the top 7 cards of your library, put up to 2 Planeswalker cards from among them into the battlefield, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Elspeth, Sun's Champion, which is kind of expired by now because Elspeth is an angel, so whatever. 4 and 2 white, you can create white soldiers to defend yourself, destroy everything, or you get an emblem that gives you power to stuff. Gideon is just to defend yourself because this is the Gideon card. I don't even know to say if it's like a shitty Planeswalker. Like, upon the next turn, creatures the player controls attack Gideon if able. It's like, thank you. And then for -2, you can destroy something that's tapped. That's okay. But for 0, it becomes a 6/6 human soldier creature that's still a Planeswalker. Prevent all damage that will be dealt to him this turn. That's good, I guess. I don't know. Normal Xanax, which is something because this whatever people just compete with white or with life because you have 40 points of life, so there is no real point to this. But I mean, safekeeping, right? I guess. Oath of Gideon, and then you have the Promise of Loyalty, and I think you have all the oaths here. Well, all the 3-color oaths because well, you don't have all 5 colors. This is a very big shame. I would have loved that this deck was 5 colors. And see, oh look, all Jace. Each player draws a card. Target player draws a card. Target player mills 20 cards, which I guess is okay. Another Jace. So you have like 3 Jaces and the Oath of Jace. And so this is good for the second commander. Well, again, the Architect of Stuff and the Mirror Jace. Not bad. And then Oath of Jace and Spark Double. Blasphemous Act, very good to clean the board. Chandra, Awakened Inferno, we already had the other Chandra, Torch of Defiance. So 3 Chandras. Sarkhan, the Masterless. Nahiri, the Harbinger. Narset of the Ancient Way. And then Narset, the Light Master. So that's not bad, actually. Oath of the Fairy. The Chainveil, which is actually a very good reprint that is, right here. Silent Arbiter. And then some good mana, some good mana base, like not excellent, but it's like this is flexible and it's kind of creative. But you're not going to write home about it. It's just okay. Cartographer's Hawk, kind of okay to defend yourself. A bunch of removal because you need to defend yourself. If you're a defending player, you create an Ogre, so this is very good because you need to defend those Planeswalkers by any cost. Then you have all the staples because it's a Commander Masters deck. Grateful Operation, Oreskos, Source to Plowshare, so you have a bunch of remover. The Wanderer, which is very good for this deck. Narset, you have like all sorts of Planeswalkers. You don't have like the good, the smashy Planeswalkers, and you don't have like very synergistic Planeswalkers. You just have Planeswalkers. which is, again, it's kind of a very big shame. And then you have a bunch of normal mana and stuff like that. And like you have a card for Teferi, by the way, something that triggers me a little bit, actually a lot. But you had Oath of Teferi. Where is Teferi? Did I jump Teferi at any point? Like, where is Teferi as a planeswalker? It's not here. So, I don't know. It's kind of okay. So, overall, I like playing with this deck because it feels like very, very sneaky, very crazy, like, wow, people. If you compare the other decks, this is the wackiest one, and I guess is appropriate that Commodore Goff is in the card, but like, is the face commander. But overall, it's like not quite there, and that's the thing that really boils my blood. Because let's talk about this for a second. So these are the commanders and the decks, right? Let's use these to represent the decks. Are any of these worth $80? No, they're not, and certainly not more than $80. And some of them, namely these ones, are being marked for 100 plus, or were marked by 100 plus. Now this one is like 80, this is 100, and these are like 45 or something. And I can see why. This is a good deck, but it's boring, and this is a good idea, but it's bad. And to be honest, these two are kind of boring, but these are powerfully boring. So I guess there's that. Now, in terms of how will the people, and just to wrap up, because I mean, this video has been long enough already for a review of decks that are already being sold for a month or something. In terms of how people will perceive you in the table, people will see you as their archenemy very fast. So if you don't like being targeted, just don't play this deck. Like, don't play Placewalker, Eldrazi's, because you will be targeted, and you have to take it because people. I mean, yeah. I guess people will target you with this as well a lot. Not as much as this one, but people see a Planeswalker, they just shut that thing. They just shoot that thing into oblivion. So I guess you will be targeted with this. Not so much with Slivers, and certainly not with this. Unless people have removal for enchantments, in which case you are dead, brother. Now, if people know what Slivers do, then it's more like this. And it's not that you're playing with dumb people. Like, a lot of people know what Slivers do, but what I'm trying to get across is that they are more deceptive, because it's like small creatures and they give small abilities to each other, and when you realize kind of thing. But when you put Planeswalkers into the table, everyone just shits their pants, right? So, because we have traumas with Planeswalkers due to some overpowered cards from the past. Now, this deck, overall, interesting deck, kind of simple to play. Some things I don't like the face down mechanic, and is very easy to upgrade. Like, it works pretty well out of the box. You just need more speed, I guess. That will be the thing. Here you need the better Slivers, the ones that are not in the box, but the ones that are there kind of work. And the mana base is not that bad. I think it's the best mana base of all of this. Again, like, good as in not great. It's good. Not $80, good, just good. And this is just play around with Planeswalkers and try to not have them killed, but you don't really have you will smash people. How do you win with these decks? You will smash people, annihilate them, and this is, if you like Hulk Smash, this is you will sneakily just grow and snowball them into oblivion. I don't have a clue. And I mean, there are some ways of killing people here, but it's not. And there are some ways of doing stuff. Like, you will just snowball with enchantments, I guess. So in terms of how to kill people, this will be the order. In terms of the order of killing people. Now, in terms of worth it to buy, I guess this will be the order as well. Like, this kind of works out of the box. This is kind of boring, but it works. And then this one, and this is the last one that no one likes. Now, my personal preference in terms of how wacky each one is, it will be something like Oh, this is kind of boring actually. Well, something like this. I wanted this a lot. These are whatever I expected things, and I wasn't expecting anything from here, which makes that my final conclusion on this is that this is okay. I like this one. This was kind of meh, and this was kind of shitty. If I had to request stuff to Wizards in the future, it will be it's kind of okay. Just like give me more Eldrazi and less random shit, and just overall give better mana bases, but they won't. So there is that. Do something with enchantments with 5 colors, maybe. Let's see how that goes. I am a big sucker for 5 color decks. Like, let's see how it goes. Just enchantment 5 colors, maybe. Just let's go. Like, give me some crazy stuff. I guess you already did all the tribals, right? So I guess this was the one. These two were the ones left. I guess. Well, the planeswalkers. So give me good cards next time, I guess, and maybe try this again. Maybe. But please, just try. Like, give me 5 colors. Or, like, if you don't want to give me 5 colors enchantments, whatever, I don't care. But if you want to do Planeswalkers again, which, trust me, I don't like Planeswalkers as a card. I think they're kind of Wizards being Wizards, and all the crazy Planeswalkers that they gave us that kind of broke the game along the years made us hate Planeswalkers. Like Orko, Master of Thieves, and the Mind Sculpture and all that stuff. Like, there's a reason why people don't like Planeswalkers, and there's a way, like, they kind of broke the game. I like the concept of, like, oh, it's a Planeswalker, you can also attack them because like a companion, and they have loyalty to you, they don't have life. They're like, I like all of that. But they don't work in Commander because they are very, very easy targets. So if you're going to do this again, which I don't think you will, because it's very weird for you to just relaunch another Commander deck that is based on Planeswalkers without a good pretext, and a good pretext was Commander Masters. So I don't think you're going to release this thing ever again, which is sad, but if you're doing it again, do it 5 colors, please. And if you're doing a commander for it that is like Commander Goff, don't make it so that it only gives me red mana, give me every freaking color, because what's the point of me having 3 colors and my main thing just generates red? Whatever. I don't. And it just even whatever. So yeah, it will be like recommended order, I guess it will be like this. If you want financial value, it's more like this, I guess. And yeah, I don't know. Sorry for the long video. I hope that you had an interesting time. If you already played with them, some of them, any of them, let me know your opinion in the comments. Let's see if we match, or maybe you disagree from me, from my opinion, and that's great. Please, let's have a debate. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't play Magic. I just open packs. Like, yeah, I know. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you had a great time. Wizards, please don't do this again. And see you next time. This has been PAX and Recreation. Bye.